Good morning and welcome to my hobby bench. Today's video is going to be quite interesting and enlightening, at least it was to me because I've already done part of it. I've done some of the things that I'm going to show in this video in advance just as an experiment for myself. So this could be a little bit of a long one, so if you're not into those then go ahead and leave now, but otherwise buckle up and get ready to talk about some ball bearings and possibly some myths or misconceptions about bearings and what happens to them after they've been in a glow engine for a long time. So I'm dedicating this video to my buddy in Germany. His name's Uwe. And Uwe has been an inspiration, or has provided me with many ideas for videos. And today's inspirational video came to me from an email correspondence we were having back and forth about engines and bearings. And he was stating that he wanted an engine, for an example, for an experiment that had chromed ball bearings, because he was wondering if the balls would rust over time. And I told him, I said, Uwe, I've changed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bearings in engines, and I've held many old and new bearings, and I've never ever seen a rusty ball. Well, that's true, but I would have to say that 99.9% of them, excluding the one today, I've never actually seen the balls on, because the balls are encased in the race. So what I chose to do today was, I always keep the bearings that I remove from engines. Don't ask me why. It's just one of those things I do. But I also, since I've been working with Boca, I also put the bearings that came out of the engine in the same bag that the replacement bearings came in, so I kind of have an idea what they look like. So I have a little bit of a reason for that now. But anyway, so I keep them, and I see bearings that are a wide variety of conditions. Some are like new, some are very old, some are really rough looking. I mean, rough feeling, rough looking. So I went through and I tried to find some bearings that looked really horrible but were big enough for me to work with, and that's what I've done today. So I'm going to throw it to the table now, because what I did was I dissected a really bad looking bearing and extracted the balls just to see if they were rusty. Now, the other thing I have to say here is, although I've changed bearings in hundreds of engines and I've held hundreds of bearings in my hand, that does not mean that I am an expert in how bearings are manufactured. Now, I think this is where a lot of misconceptions or truths about bearings come into play, because not all companies probably chrome plate either the races, which I don't know that many chrome plate the races. I don't know, unless it's just the inner race for the ID portion. I don't know. But I don't think they all chrome plate the balls. Some companies do. Now, Boca bearing does chrome plate balls on some bearings. I've seen it listed in their ads. I don't know if they do it on all of them. But chrome plating is an additional process step that is not inexpensive. So that leads me to believe that either the steel that they are made with, some balls from lesser quality bearing manufacturers, may be chrome impregnated, if that's something you can do. I don't know. I'm not a metallurgist. So, or they're just not chromed at all. And honestly, the bearings I'm going to be disassembling and showing you today, I have no idea what they are. None whatsoever. So the point of this experiment that I did earlier, and then I'm going to repeat here, was I dissected a bearing that looked really horrible, and I was going to say, I want to see rust on balls. Well, I didn't on this one. And let's go to the table now, and I'll show you the results of my initial experiment, and then I'll repeat the results, or repeat the experiment on video. Okay, so here we are on the table. I know it looks really cluttered. I've got a lot of stuff on here. I didn't remove my row of engines that I have on display. I can maybe push them backwards a little bit more and kind of get them out of the frame a little bit, but I want to keep some of this stuff here, and then I may move some of it out of the way. But so first thing, I've got my desk vise, which is just instrumental in me taking these bearings apart, because I never actually manually or intentionally destroyed a bearing before to extract the balls, which is what I did. And then I've got a little jar of some LA's Totally Awesome cleaner, which is just straight, it's not mixed. And here, this container, I've got bearing soak, which is a Boca product that is kind of like an oil, but it forms a molecular bond with the metal and steel parts to reduce friction and increase longevity of bearings. And then I've got some bearings here and some other tools off to the side here. So the first thing I want to show you is this. And I'm going to zoom in here so you can really see this. This is the first bearing that I was just playing with earlier. Now, this bearing, when I first started messing with it, looked very much like this one. And I would think that you would all say that, holy crap, that's a really horrible looking bearing. And it is. Now this one, and I'll explain what all I did to this, but the first thing I did to was I punched out the race, and then I dropped all the balls into LA's Totally Awesome cleaner for, I don't know, a few minutes, and then I pulled them all out and just rolled them through a paper towel. The outer race and inner race, what I did was I used 400 grit sandpaper, and I just kind of sanded them off so that they looked better all around the edges. Now, there was potentially rust on the outer edges of this. But anyway, so here is... You hear anything? I mean, I know this isn't spinning like... Because all of these things were soaked in the bearing soak too. But I mean, I didn't notice any rust on the balls, and to me, these balls didn't look like they were chrome plated. But, so here are the bearings I've got. Now, this bearing came out of an engine. These are the two bearings in the engine. So, that's the level of what this bearing looked like. That's how bad this one was. Now, this one's just going to go away because that's too small to use. So, in my stock of other bearings, I found these two, because they're equivalent sizes and they'll be easier to work with. One is sealed or shielded. I can't tell. This is so messed up. I can't tell if that's a rubber seal or if that's a metal shield. But anyway, this is the one we're going to be working with, and not this one. This one still actually, believe it or not, actually rotates and doesn't feel too bad. It looks horrible. So I'm going to put that one aside. This is the one we're going to work with. Now this one is, I'm effectively saying it's locked up. It's really tough. So how much of what I'm going to do here I don't know, because of the length I may end up editing this. But the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up the shield. Remove the shield. Okay, so this was a rubber shielded bearing. That was not metal. And let me see if I can zoom in here so you can see that better. I could tell by the way that felt, the way it came out, that it was a rubber sealed bearing. So that's interesting. So that's a rubber sealed bearing. And rubber sealed bearings always have grease in them. So I know I'm still zoomed in here pretty far. Let me come out just a hair more. So let's just finish this up. This is the quickest and easiest part, is getting the shields out, or the seal. So there we go. Our seal's out. Oh, it still doesn't want to rotate. And I'm not going to do any pre-cleaning or anything like that. What I'm going to start doing now is using this really small punch. I'm going to start punching this race out. And I'm doing that by going in between the balls. And the first time I did this, that first bearing, the race started just kind of disintegrating. And you can see here it's starting to come out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to just start raising it out. Yeah. So this one's a little bit more kind. It's just kind of coming right out. The other one, the first one I did was basically coming out in pieces. So there's that first race. Where's the other half of the race? Right here. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to need my vise anymore. I don't believe. What I think I can do here to extract the balls from this is I'm going to try and slide them all to one side. Like this. Collapse them all onto themselves.
Like that, if you can see that. Yeah. Oh, look, it's a smiley face.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully just kind of try to push that inner race out. Oh, I just lost a ball. I'm going to have to go look for that ball now. I think I felt it hit me. I got a magnet. I think this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ball. This is probably, I may have lost several, so I'm going to turn the video off and see if I can find these other balls because it's really kind of important to do this for this experiment, so stand by. Okay, so believe it or not, I actually found the 3 balls that went on the carpet, and I've got them all encapsulated here. And just out of curiosity for you all, I want to show you a quick image of what the carpet looks like in this room that I'm working on so that you can see the challenge that can present for any part that you drop and need to find. So now you can understand how difficult that was. So I'm going to open up this container of LAs now, and I'm just going to use a magnet and drop all these balls in here. Oh, before I do that, I wanted to show you
A close-up of what the balls look like right now before they get cleaned. So to me, they just kind of look
like little metal balls. Now, so the reason I'm using LA's Totally Awesome Cleaner is I have found over the past
years of using it that
this will induce rust.
if you put a metal part in there and then take it out,
and it cleans off the carbon very, very well,
it will induce rust almost immediately. So here is the inner race.
Looks pretty rough. For this experiment, you know what? We can determine if this thing rusts or not because I'm just going to drop that in there.
Here's the outer race.
And I'm going to do some things here concurrently while those things are soaking. I'm not going to put this one in the LAs. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you when I reassembled
this bearing. I did this all reassembled.
But what I did was no oil or anything. I was just running the outer race around like that and cleaning it up that way. So had there been rust on it, yes, I probably cleaned that off. So
the inside,
maybe I need to,
I don't know if a flashlight's going to help or not, or hurt.
Hurt or help? I don't know.
To me, I don't think you can see it with that flashlight on there, but to me that looks rusty.
That looks rusty, looks really rusty in there. So I think what I want to do here now is I'm going to cut a sliver of this. And this is how I like to use this. So I'm going to cut a sliver of this and I'm just going to run it along in here. No oil or anything. Just now I know I'm probably not getting into the groove at all, which is the critical part. That's where the balls actually roll. I don't know that I can get into the groove just by doing this.
It's not getting into the groove, but at least the groove is,
or the outer, the little thing where the race rides in is looking a little bit better. So I'm just going to leave that as it is, I think. It's pretty rough. You know what? The hell with it. I'm just going to drop that in there too. And see if that is, if it's rusted. This was a rubber sealed bearing. So was it rust? Was it grease? I don't know. So I took this inner race out. I'm going to do the same thing with it now. Just kind of clean up the outside part. I'm not really sure why I'm doing it, but I am. Now I'm going to try and Just do the same thing on the outside here. Just get whatever grime, rust, roughness, whatever it is off of here. The kicker though for this video I think is, are the balls rusty? And we're going to find out here pretty soon, because I'm going to take them out now and put them on this paper towel. Dry them all off. There's that. There's got to be some more in here. Yep. So I'm kind of rolling them around so that if there's any more carbon or anything on them. Yeah, these balls are definitely not chrome plated. I can tell you that by looking at them. So these are probably pretty low quality bearings.
I think it's should be pretty obvious
that those don't look like they're chrome plated.
Do they look different than the ones that are in here?
To me they do. Let's see if this was in, if I can still read the manufacturer of this. Looks like it says NBK or N8K or NBK. Is that a bearing manufacturer? I don't know. That's what I'm looking at there. It looks like these balls look different than these balls. Now, does this inner race here have anything written on it? I don't know. Hard to see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these balls back in here. And I know there's not going to be a race holding them, but that's about the best we can do here. So when you go to do this, put this inner race off to one side and get that smiley face thing going. And then, where's my little screwdriver? Kind of trying to smooth these all out. They all have to be in a line. Okay, so this was a lot easier with that first one. That's not supposed to go there. Shit. Well, I got balls going all over the place here. This is definitely a lot more challenging this time than it was the first time. Different bearing apparently, obviously. It seems like every damn tool I've got is magnetized to some degree or another. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this bearing back together, because it's just not cooperating at all like the other one was. The other one just fell right into place. And maybe that's a factor of a quality of the bearing also. I don't know. We at least got them kind of lined up there. Yeah, they're not wanting to grab in there. Yeah, this is a... It almost seems like they're not the same. I didn't go in here. The race was different and took up more space, because this is, well, that first one I did was just so easy just to put that thing back together. Very easy. I don't know if this is going to work, guys. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this one to take place. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that one back together, so that kind of sucks. Really kind of sucks. Let me clean one of these balls off real good. Yeah.
So I think it's pretty plain to see. I don't think that helps.
helps at all. This is definitely not a chrome plated bearing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This was an 8 ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This was an 8 ball bearing, and this was a 9 ball bearing. So maybe that's why it's so much easier. The number of balls in there. Obviously, I think the number of balls you have potentially the smoother the bearing, but the more difficult it is to put it back together. Because this is, 8 balls, but I mean, to me, those look chrome plated, and I have no idea. NBK, is that what that said? Something like that. So this would indicate to me that this is a higher quality bearing. So anyway, I guess I'm not going to be able to, this is just not as easy as I thought it was going to be to put this one back together and see if it spins or makes noise or anything, because of the fact that it's an 8 ball bearing instead of or a 9 instead of an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is a 10 ball bearing. So this one has 10 balls in it. So this one would be even much more difficult. So apparently number of balls is a real factor in bearings also, which I didn't realize as much, but I don't know if there's an advantage to more or less balls, other than maybe ease of David reassembling it. But anyway, so I don't know what to say. Not really sure where to go with this experiment now, other than that these probably are not chrome plated balls. But they've been out in the open air. And I don't really see any rust forming on them. So does rust form on the balls? Maybe not. Maybe it only forms on the cheap metal shield. But I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, because if any portion of the bearing that touches the balls or the groove where the balls reside gets rusty, then the bearing's going to be notchy and it's going to be horrible. So, well, look at that. I could play pool. So anyway, that's basically the video here for today. And Uwe, thank you for your inspiration for this video. And unfortunately, I didn't seem to get the conclusion I was hoping for. But that is it. I guess the question is still open. Can you have rusty balls on bearings? And I guess the answer is yes, it's possible if balls are not chrome plated.